What's up, citizens of Gotham? My name is Graham Elwood, and you're watching the Political Vigilante live at about 7:47 p.m. on the West Coast, 10:47 on the East Coast. Many of you just joining us from Jimmy's interview with Glenn Greenwald. That was pretty awesome to watch. Man, I didn't know all that stuff about what he's gone through, and Glenn is so amazing. Like what he talks about. Hold on. There we go. I got to fill it all in. The right lights. I mean, just hear Glenn talk about it. He's like, I'm so sick of listening to these crybabies. Like, oh, someone was mean to me on Twitter. And he's like, real journalists, hated the elites. Real journalists are getting, attacked. And the shit him and his husband and kids have had to go. I mean, it's unreal. But he's the real deal. He's the real deal. I mean, he's the real deal. So, it's awesome. So welcome to the show. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Kate is our moderator. Kate, can you change the scroll? We're trying this now. We had a whole tutorial with Kate and my producer about learning StreamYard. So we're going to I deliberately left it up there. Hit the like button. I deliberately left show starting soon, but let's put a different scroll up there, Kate. Let's do it. You can do it. I know you can. It's fantastic. Thank you to everybody watching us on Facebook and over at the Rockfin. We are still demonetized by YouTube. We are in our third month of demonetization, so we don't make any money at all. They're running ads, but I'm not getting any of it. So now they're running ads on my show, so don't watch their ads. What was I going to say? So please support us over at rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. I did a interview today with the Fred Hampton Leftist podcast, which was really cool. And they used this platform I've never used before called HAPS. It was a little bit of a hassle to sign up for. I had to sign up and then wait for some email or whatever. But once I got in there, there was a feature to like simulcast on Twitch or Facebook Live and YouTube. So I just said, I just clicked it. So that's why there was another stream earlier today on this channel. And I've left it up there. It was for their show. I was a guest on their show, but the way this HAPS platform works, you have to join to become a member of it. And then you can simulcast on your platforms too. So it's a really cool interview, and they've got a great podcast. This gentleman, Nick, and this woman, Jackie, and they're Fred Hampton leftists. I mean, it's really cool that that's like a thing now. And I'm actually another reason why if you haven't seen Judas and the Black Messiah, watch it, because they're getting that Netflix show is going to bring a wider audience to just learn who, Graham, I can't change it on the main screen. It's changed on mine. Interesting. All right. So that's weird. I guess we got to figure that out. So there, I just changed that. That's weird that you can't. Who cares if we can change it on yours? That doesn't help. We got to figure that out. Maybe you logged in. I don't know. All right. Well, we'll talk about that later. Anyway, no big deal. Yeah, so if you haven't, please subscribe to the Fred Hampton Leftist. It's a really cool show, and they're talking about great stuff, and they're getting the word out there, not just about Fred Hampton, obviously, but just about real left, and it's great. I mean, it was a really cool show to talk about, and I love helping out new shows and sending my audience over to a new show, and hopefully their audience comes over here. So it's really cool. It was a really great conversation. So check it out. But yes, we have been demonetized. I'll read a couple of, And thank you to everybody watching over at rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin is free to join. It's free to sign up. I have a bunch of free videos there that have no ads, and some of them are exclusive to Rockfin. I'm not putting everything up on YouTube now. I'm putting most of my content up on YouTube, but not all of it because YouTube's demonetizing me. I'm still dropping like a clip a day on YouTube, sometimes two, but I'm dropping 2 to 3 clips a day on Rockfin. And also you can get early access to government secrets on Rockfin Premium, which is $10 a month. You get the game show, which is there, and Graham Goes to Russia documentary, all of the karaoke videos, Shatner, Darien, Eddie Vedder, Granny Petrol, all of their karaoke songs are available. If you just need some fun in the middle of the day, check that out. Matt S., Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. How are you, Graham? Matt, I'm doing well, my friend. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to Doc Terminus and Chimchuri, along with Matt S., who are currently in the chat over at rockfin.com. If you want to support this live chat right now, please go over to Rockfin. And you can tip there. It's like a super chat, and I will answer your question. That's what I just read for Matt S. Also, I have Venmo, which is another great way to support the show. So if you do that, it's at Graham-Elwood. It's on the scroll below, and I will answer your question like a super chat because I cannot. There's no super chat feature because they've demonetized me. One of the wonderful things of Google. Thank you. Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Wan chat there. No, Corby Simmons, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Mary Hale. Thank you all for supporting what I do. Can't super chat. Making Gotham great again. Yeah. Thank you all. Boom. Those are people over on the Venmo. Yeah. Yeah, so there's an ad on, oh, God. Oh, YouTube. What a tangled web you weave. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen, and push this out on your social media. Oh, I forgot to do that. I got to do that real quick. Boom, shellac-a-lack, boom, everybody. Boom, boom, pow. Let's get this, share this out of the rock pit. Boo, 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 boo. This stream tonight, we'll probably keep it to about 90 minutes. I got a couple segments I want to bang out. I'm excited to answer your questions. I have another conference tonight. And I'm looking to line up for tomorrow's show. Justin Jackson, just waiting to get a confirmation from him. Just looking at maybe tomorrow at 3 o'clock Pacific time, a little earlier. I know I've done a couple late ones. I like to do some early business. What is up, everybody? J to G, Josh Davis, Holly Horde, everybody. What is going on? Hello. Yeah. I hope Rockfin takes a huge bite out of YouTube as well. Every day I get an email notifications of different shows in Rockfin, but never for Graham. What's up with that? Boy, I don't know. Ask him. Well, that's weird. A Wednesday show. What is this? Christmas in April? I think you're in Australia, right? Oh, I need a little some glass of water. So I'm gonna have my political vigilante mug, little blue interior. Look at that. Those are the colors of the show. Tastes like truth. Boom. Go to grabelwood.com. Great way to support our program. Today is Tuesday. You're in Portland, Oregon? Oh, all right, Chimchuri. Is it Wednesday up there? Because it's Tuesday here. Oh, Kate, I think you're in the right place now. Hey, Kate, just put up show starting soon. Let's see if you can just change the banner now that you're in the correct spot. Yes, you did it. We did it. All right, cool. Yeah, put it back to the other one. Perfect. All right, now we figured that out. All right. You announced the show for tomorrow. Oh, you're right, Chooch. So I'm the jackass. Sorry, you're right. Yes, I haven't done a Wednesday show in a while because I've been doing beach cleanups. But I'm going to do a later beach cleanup. So I want to go live tomorrow at 3:00, and hopefully we'll have Justin Jackson on. I really want to talk to him about Evanston passing reparations, since he went to school at Northwestern. I went to school in Evanston, the Township High School, and then talk about Major League Baseball pulling its all-star game from Atlanta because of this bullshit Georgia voter law. I want to hear what he is. I want to talk to a professional athlete about that and see what the NFL is going to do. Granted, there's a ways yet before the NFL season. So the NFL season doesn't start. Well, preseason starts in August and the regular season starts in September. But I wonder if this law is still on the books. Will the Falcons be moving? Is that what's going to happen? Because that's pretty big. And this is what I talked about with Justin the last time he was on the show. And I've talked about it a lot. And I'm sure he has as well, of like, this is the power. When you go after the pocketbook, things start to change. Protests in the street, all that stuff's great. I'm not saying don't do that, but like, look what happens when you hit the pocketbook. When everybody says, all right, we're not going to the All-Star game. We're not, hey, Coca-Cola, hey, Delta, who are all headquartered in Georgia, you better change your tune or we're boycotting them. Cause I mean, that'd be an easy sell. Nobody buy a Coke. Nobody fly on Delta until they pressure the lawmakers in Georgia. And man, their money would go down. Everyone would be down with that. I mean, and that would trend on social media. And that's what these big corporations do not want. They see the power of social media. And if there's some whole, like, this company's bad, this company's against Black Lives Matter, whatever, they get fried. So that's what happened. So we're going to talk to Justin about that hopefully tomorrow, as soon as I get that confirmed. So I'm really excited to hear from him soon. So hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Let's do it. Let's do a segment. I got a couple of hot, fresh segments ready to go. Boo. Slide into position, ladies and gentlemen. Look at that. God, that looks beautiful. Are you that dude from the game show? Yes, I am that dude from the game show. I'm assuming you're talking about, I have, Coca-Cola's headquarters is in Atlanta. I mean, they have offices all over the place, but their main headquarters is Atlanta. Whammy. All right, here we go. Boop, 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 boop. Let me just queue up a video. As a report. Yeah. All right. You're the game show dude? Yes, I am. I hosted the game show Strip Poker on the USA Network, and I hosted the game show Cram on the Game Show Network and was a guest host of Whammy on an April Fool's show. All of this is available online. If you want to watch it, here, I'm going to give you guys a special treat. If you guys are good, I'll show you clips of my game show days. We'll do it later in the show. If you behave, if Dad doesn't have to turn the car around, then I will show you when I hosted a game show. Done over 300 episodes of television. No, I just do this in my apartment. I'm wearing shorts. That's great. All right, here we go. Vegan guns for the win. Yeah, I'm going to do a segment. We're going to get all serious. I'm going to show you some real stuff that we do on the show. And then, yeah, everybody use your indoor voices. Nobody becomes an idiot. Then I will show you me hosting game shows. And it will blow your minds. Yes, I look familiar. If you scrolled through basic cable in the early 2000s, you probably saw this voice with a more of a thicker amount. It didn't have this hairline. This is the wasn't going as back as far. All right. All right, folks. First, we're going to do real journalism. First of all, Matt S. Shaving Knuckles for Justice. Thank you for supporting us over at rockfin.com/grab Elwood blockchain cryptocurrency platform. I'm getting really antsy to live in a cool European city where I can just commute everywhere by bike, but I'm not ready to leave my job. What advice do you have for a situation like this? Start planning. Like, don't just make it it starts as an idea, but like really start planning. Figure out what it's going to take to do it. You know, it was like a year ago, I was like, if I get Political Vigilante to cover all my bills, I can do it anywhere. And I started planning, thinking that way. How can I grow it? Because then I'm completely empowered. I'm not at the mercy of like show business. So start thinking, first of all, where you want to live, what the cost of living, what you can do, how you can make money, and start planning it and make a list of how to do it. That's what always does me. I'm always like, if I have a big crazy thing and it seems like, oh man, I'm at the base of this huge mountain, plan it, get more information, start figuring out, okay, once you get real numbers and real information, okay, well, I'm going to need it. This is the cost of living. Then you look at, well, these are my finances. I could sell this, move this, maybe whatever your situation is. If you own property here in the States, well, maybe I rent it out. If money's just super tight and you don't own much, then figure out what you can do over there, what the immigration laws are. They're looking, a lot of countries are now starting to have digital nomad visas. If you work remotely, they want you there, especially if you're younger, like under the age of 40 in some cases, under 50 for sure, but absolutely under 40, because here countries are wising up to the fact that if you work remotely, you come to their country, you're not taking one of their local citizens' jobs. That's the thing why the immigration is usually pretty tough in most countries. We don't want other people coming to this country to take jobs. Every country has that same approach. especially countries that have good economies like Western Europe, right? So if you can prove to them, I make my money online, then they want you there because now you're taking money that you earn online, North America, wherever, and you're spending it there. So you're contributing to their economy and while not taking any locals' jobs away. So if you can work remotely, that's key in many countries. And just go online, digital nomad visa. Each country might call it something slightly different, but if you can work remotely, work at home, which a lot of us have been able to do since the pandemic, especially, figure it out. That's a great way to do it. I hope that helps. Mike Conklin just joined Rockfin, so I can tip you. Thanks for what you do, champ. I appreciate it, Mark. Hey, Mark. Hi, Mark. How are you? Thanks, dude. Thanks, Mike. I really appreciate it. And thank you for joining Rockfin. I love getting new Rockfin subscribers. It is the best. The best. All right, let's do the segment. Let's do it. All right, let's do it. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. Look at that. Look at the truth rise up. Look at it. Look at it. Look at it. Ooh, we get still demonetized month 3 of no ad revenue, no super chats, no nothing from YouTube. So please support us in many other ways. Patreon.com/Graham Elwood. You get a bunch of great bonus content if you sign up there. Rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. You get amazing premium content. We have a members only live stream every Monday night on Rockfin, Graham's Late Night Crypto Lounge, Monday night, 8 o'clock Pacific time. You can watch the archive of all the live streams. It's a great way to support the show. And the other thing I like about Rockfin is that it's blockchain and they pay us in cryptocurrency. I've been talking a lot about cryptocurrency really mainly since last summer. And as I've gotten more educated about it and learned more about it, I'm seeing like it is a potential hedge against inflation. It is a potential safety net if the economy collapses, because there's a lot of signs that the economy is collapsing. We had Max Kaiser and Stacey Herbert on the show last week. Please watch the full interview. I also broke it up into clips. Please watch that because it's really informative. And a thing I've been talking about on this show for a long time is there's been a bunch of financial bubbles before the pandemic. Real estate, commercial real estate bubbles. I've been talking about that for several years because that's what all these financial experts are saying. Well, and I'm going to show you what Max Kaiser and Stacey had to say about this. Credit Suisse execs out as bank takes $4.7 billion hit from hedge fund collapse. It's starting. It's starting. And I'm going to, Max, I just watched their most recent episode. Their most recent episode was like, oh, watch out. It's starting. Because this is the sign. This is the kind of the things that started to happen in 2007. When a lot of, including Max and Stacey back in 2007, were like, ooh, watch out. A lot of people were like, uh-oh, it's all the credit, right? Remember, it was the credit was the problem. The over-leveraged credit was the problem. We have that same problem. These are all the bubbles we're talking about. There's all this these big hedge funds have all this over-leveraged credit, right? The significant loss relating to the failure of the U.S.-based hedge fund is unacceptable, CEO Thomas Goldstein said in a statement. Serious lessons will be learned. Credit Suisse remains a formidable institution, blah, blah, blah. So I want to play for you what they said on the most recent Kaiser report and why it's significant and why you should be paying attention.
Hi, I'm Max Kaiser. This is the Kaiser Report. You know, a lot of people speculate whether or not God exists or not. I'll tell you one thing that I can guarantee does not exist. Financial regulators. Stacey.
Right. I mean, it's beginning to look a lot like 2008 to us. We were around and reporting back then on the beginning of the global financial crisis, which we believe is still kind of ongoing. But at that time, of course, it was in around the same time of the year, March of 2008, where Bear Stearns had two hedge funds that collapsed and set in motion what would later, a few months later, 6 months later, become the global financial crisis when Lehman Brothers also collapsed. You're starting to see that again. The debt crisis has risen again, you might say. Bill Wang of Archegos, his fund collapsed in a spectacular fashion with a massive margin call, up to about $30 billion margin call he received. And it looks like he's really impacted. Not only did like CBS, Viacom CBS fall by like 27% as all his shares had to be sold off by the counterparty banks, but the banks themselves like Credit Suisse have been hit. Credit Suisse warns in pre-market statement of a highly significant hit to its first quarter results after it began exiting positions with a large US hedge fund that defaulted on margin calls last week.
So do we play this as a tragedy or a comedy? That's always the question. If I go tragic, that would be one way to go down the tragedy path, or I could go down the comedy path. Either one, or there's tragic comedy. There's a big mix of both. If I go down the tragedy path, things could get woolly.
So the first time was tragedy. We covered that in 2008. This time is comedy because it's the second time. So if it happens again in the same exact way, the same exact manner, that happens over and over. The first time our financial system almost collapsed was back in the 90s with long-term capital management. Remember them? That's when the Fed intervened to rescue one single hedge fund. Here we have the same sort of situation. And again, just like 2008, again, remember I said that the financial crisis has risen again, and that is it went through Europe because what happened was huge amount of leverage using something called contracts for difference, which are illegal in the US, but are allowed in Europe. So nevertheless, it impacted US markets hugely. Here are the complex bets at the heart of the unprecedented Archegos linked $30 billion margin call. Losses that triggered the liquidation of positions approaching $30 billion in value bring to light complicated financial instruments used by European investors that effectively are banned in the United States, but still have spillover effects domestically. So-called contracts for differences were at the heart of some of the massive wrong way bets made by Bill Wang's Archegos Capital Management. Max, you know, because you used to be an options trader. So CFDs are the kind of derivative instrument that allow traders to place a directional bet on the price of a security without actually buying or selling the underlying instrument. It works much like a futures contract, say an index. The buyer and the seller agree on the price of a transaction sometime in the future at the end date or earlier if they decide to unwind the position beforehand. Only the difference between the actual and the agreed price will be settled. If the price went up, the seller pays the buyer the difference and vice versa. So you're able to do this with putting down very, 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 very little on the actual bet.
There is structurally no difference between a contract for difference play and a roulette wheel. Okay, there's structurally absolutely no difference. When they say directional bet, okay, it's either red or black. And that's part of a roulette wheel. Then you could leverage it almost with an infinite leverage because remember, money is free because you've got 0% interest rates if you're an insider. And so that would be a number on the roulette wheel, like number 27. And so you're making hundreds of millions of dollars or billions of dollars in the bet. They spin the wheel. And here's the great thing. If it doesn't come up the color that you want it to come out, or it doesn't come up the number that you didn't want it to come up, you get to go to the cashier and they pay you not only how much you lost back in cash, but they give you 10 times more. Mm-hmm. And they say, you got to go back to the roulette wheel and try it again because you are systemically important to the global economy. Without recidivist banking terrorists like you over at Credit Suisse and all these other banks, then how will we out in the Hamptons be able to buy this yacht next month? That's systemically important. How would we be able to justify these 0% interest rates that by definition, by provable cause and effect, A plus B equals C, when I make that face, it usually gets nasty, right? So I don't know whether to go, it's tragic or it's comic. David, I was just looking at some clips of that movie, Margin Call. And it's a Hollywood movie based on this exact event having been played out now several times. It's become pantomime. It's such a trope now that every 10 years they go through the machinations of this global financial crisis brought on by regulators, brought on by rogue traders that hit a fat finger trade and accidentally triggered a multi-$100 billion margin call. Then send in the devil, the villain with a twisty mustache. Oh, I know what we'll do. We'll print $15 trillion. And then some mop-haired, short-haired, white-haired witch like Janet Yellen's trotted out in front of Congress and then Jay Powell appears with his top hat. And I'm Jay Powell. I'm from the 20th century, and I'm here to tell you that this is absolutely normal. It goes on like that again and again and again and again.
Well, let me intervene, Max, because I do believe that it is continuing as a comedy. This time around,
I just want to add real quick. He talks about recidivist financial terrorists. That's how he refers to these people, and he's right. Because he used to be in that world, so he knows it. Like recidivist financial terrorists. That's what how else would you describe every 10 years they destroy the world and they're given free money on top of it so they can maintain their homes in the Hamptons? I mean, like, that's why I have such respect for Max Keiser, because he was in that world, right? He was a stockbroker. He knows all this stuff. He was at the parties. He went to the Hamptons. He sees how it's really run. He sees how people like Janet Yellen are just, she was paid $1.7 million in speaker fees, not because Credit Suisse and Citibank and these other companies needed her information. They're buying influence. They all know the same stuff she knows. They don't need, it's like a room full of football coaches hiring, some ex-NFL coach to talk to them. No, they don't need, they know how it works. So I just wanted to point that out and let them finish.
It is comedy. It is hilarious. And the reason why it's so much more hilarious this time, the first time was tragedy back in 2008 and 2009. And the reason was because Bitcoin had not yet spread mass around the world. There was no safe haven for ordinary investors, ordinary people to save themselves from this financial system, which was corrupt. This time around, it's comedy. We could laugh, saying to them, have fun staying poor, because we have Bitcoin, and millions of people around the world now have Bitcoin. And, while these people play their crazy games, and the central bank will bail these people out, sovereign nations will bail these people out. Back in 2008 and 2009, Credit Suisse got injections from, I think it was the Qatari sovereign wealth fund and the government. So they'll have to be bailed out. Some suckers, taxpayers, inflation, everybody will pay for these suckers in the fiat world. But this time around, we have Bitcoin. And I want to say, like the CFD situation, the MarketWatch article interviews a former SEC regulator, Amy Lynch, who says about them that they are extremely risky, is how she characterized CFDs, as kind of like being able to go into a naked position, she said, referring to naked bets where investors use derivatives to gain exposure to an investment without owning the underlying asset. So the markets are naked. They've been exposed as having no clothes, essentially.
Right. Yeah. Former regulator. No active regulator.
No active regulator will say that openly. They won't warn you about this, especially at that sort of level where it's like a major bank like Credit Suisse. They're allowed to get away with these things, and they just get to say, oops, sorry, our bad. We'll save everything. We'll print more money, and it all goes away. But this time I'm saying it's comedy, Max. I am laughing. I'm laughing hard inside. I might not be laughing right now and you can't see it, but I am laughing so hard inside that I could just watch these people like a car crash. Like, it's just like, okay, this is like a clown car crash, right? It's just like cars filled with clowns, overfilled with clowns crashing into each other in that fiat banking system, which is so corrupt now.
Right. It's funny. It's also funny when people suggest that Bitcoin's going to be regulated. And you hear that from academics and talking heads on TV all the time, like, we're going to regulate Bitcoin, as if they regulate any market right now, that they're not just basically, it's pay to play in the regulation field, right? You pay for the laws, you pay for the rules. And, we've got over $1 trillion now to pay any regulator we need. It's not going to be regulated. There's no regulation going on now.
Well, there is, and that is, these are legal in Europe. These CFDs are legal in Europe. These people can engage in this. It's illegal in America, but the bankers in America want these illegal things to be illegal, to continue legally in Europe, so that they could destabilize the system anytime they want. Because every time you see it over and over and over, look at the wealth and income gap across America. It goes up every single time there's a crisis. So it's in their benefit there's no...
We've been saying for many years that America outsources its financial illegality to Europe, particularly the city of London, where they have things like infinite rehypothecation.
Yeah.
And that loophole hasn't been closed for the very reason that it needs to remain open to allow for these fraudulent activities.
Again, so you have the system that has recovered. I remember on the front page of all the U.S. mainstream newspapers and magazines, they were like, Lloyd Blankfein and Jamie Dimon are heroes, and they saved the system, and they're gods. And Jerome Powell and Janet Yellen and Ben Bernanke saved the system. So we'll see what actually saving the system has meant. And it's part of that CFDs. It's part of the explosion in leverage that has happened. That we know for a fact the actual economy, manufacturing, wealth creation has not increased at all since 2000, right? So what is this all based on? And if you're going to have these hedge funds like Archegos collapse and possibly take down the system, like, how fast will it all spiral, right? Because that guy's leverage, of course, collapsed him. He doesn't have to pay any of it. His company doesn't. He'll still be a billionaire. It'll be all these banks, which will eat the cost, but the banks then give it the cost to the regulators, the central bank, the taxpayers, and all that stuff. So in the United States, February FINRA margin debt up $15.1 billion month on month to $813.7 billion, a new record. It's up 69.8% from last March's low. That S&P 500 is up 81% during that period. All good, except it is easy to forget during good times that margin debt cuts both ways. We are witnessing live the dreaded side of margin calls. The collapse of Archegos triggered turmoil on the U.S. markets as the likes of Viacom, which is in many pension funds across America, collapsed by 27% as those trades unwound.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it's tough at this juncture to understand if this is supposed to be, or we're supposed to be sad or laughing. You don't really know. It's a psychodrama. All right, a psychodrama it's weirdly funny, but also weirdly tragic at the same time. The people in charge have given an unlimited credit line to the most psychotic, recidivist kleptocrats that human history's ever known, and they're just standing back to see what happens. And predictably, they're destroying the global economy and driving Bitcoin to $500,000 a coin.
It's basically this time around the 2021 financial crisis, and it'll go through 2022, 23. It's the Monty Python version of the 2008 crisis. And because we're all going to be laughing, and it's going to seem as ridiculous as and amusing as any Monty Python sketch.
I can hardly wait for the next huge hedge fund to blow up and for Bitcoin to go up to $250,000. Stay tuned for more after this. Don't go away.
So I wanted to show you that because having them on the show, and I watch their show a lot, obviously. You see why I've been saying as I've gotten more knowledgeable. And again, if you're like, Graham, I don't get it. I was there a year ago. I was like, with the pandemic had just hit, we're canceling tour dates. We weren't sure. Maybe we'll be back on the road by the fall. We didn't have and I was scrambling. We were all scrambling. And I was like, man, I'm going to need this Rockfin. And I started talking to them over the summer and June and really paying attention and started watching all these shows like Kaiser Report and Altcoin Daily and the Moon and Crypto Casey and now BitBoy Crypto and Boom Bust. We had Christy I on the show a couple times last year. We had Rosie Tran on the show a couple times. And so I was like, okay, this is important. And now you're really seeing why. And it's a thing I talked about last spring when the first CARES Act came out. And I said, watch out. It's going to be used as a money grab because I got screwed over in the last financial crisis. I was one of the 6 million people who had their homes taken away. And I didn't want that to happen to you. And so that's why this whole year I've been like, pay attention, and you're not too late for buying Bitcoin. And take 5 to 10% of your assets. Even if you're like, Graham, I only got, $1,000 in the bank, buy $100 in Bitcoin. Because I just did the video last week that was submitted, thankfully, by Lauren D'Alessandro, who's submitted great stuff over the years, mainly about financial crises and bubbles and stuff like that. She's really sent us a lot of financial stuff. You remember that video I just did last week about FHA loans? 17.5% of them nationwide were close to foreclosure. They were behind. That's the national average. In about 10 to 20 cities, there's at least 10 cities or so. I outlined some of them where it's like 20 to 25%. So you've got that housing bubble that we've been talking about that's been exacerbated by the pandemic. Now there's low houses available on the market, so the prices have gone way up. But when all these people are like, gotta either foreclosure or just go short sale or just go, we're going to sell the house, then there's going to be a glut and the housing market's going to come down. We've got these hedge funds that Stacy and Max and everybody are talking about that just imploded. And Max just said at the end of the segment, oh, another hedge fund's going to bite the dust. This was what was happening in spring of 2008. It's starting. So get a little bit of Bitcoin, just 5 to 10% of your assets, man. Just put 10% of your assets in Bitcoin. Go to bitcoin.com, just learn more about it, educate yourself. Don't gamble with money you can't afford. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just telling you, this is the writing on the wall, and they are big Bitcoin proponents because they see how corrupt they've been working inside this corrupt system for decades. And that's why they're just like, we're done. And they're trying to educate people. So it's starting. And they said the financial crash, is going to go into 22 and 23. And I told you this, last year in comparison to the Great Depression, the stock market crashed in September of 1929. And the depression wasn't really felt till like 1931, 1932. So we're now in the second year of everything getting shut down. And sure, we're going to open up, but you can't print trillions of dollars and not have inflation. You can't have whole industries get shut down for a year. So, and then these illegal, as he calls them, psychotic kleptocrats are given endless streams of money, and they're doing awful. They're evil. They don't care. These kleptocrats, these oligarchs, they don't care if you are on the street. They don't give a shit. The federal government will bail them out. They don't care. So listen to people like Matt who know way more. I got a film degree from the University of Arizona, and I'm a club comic, but I'm smart enough to listen to people that know what they're doing. And I'm not going to get burned this time like I got burned last time. And I don't want to see any of you lose your home or your assets or anything like that. So look at your own personal financial situation. Everybody's situation is different, but just put something in Bitcoin because the price is going to keep going up. It's going to keep going up. So thank you for supporting the show. Like, share, subscribe. Protect yourself and your family from this inevitable financial crash that is coming. It's coming. So, and go to bitcoin.com. They have a YouTube channel and they have a Bitcoin 101 playlist, and just watch that and learn about it. and sign up for one of these exchanges. I have affiliate codes with crypto.com and BlockFi, even Coinbase, which I don't, Max Kaiser said they're bad faith actors. I get that they're super easy to understand, but just do a little research, put a little money in there and hang on to it, because when the fiat collapses, when the boomer casino collapses, the boomer casino is the stock market, when all these corrupt kleptocrats bottom out the economy again and get bailed out again by the money printers at governments like America and other countries that are monetary sovereigns, they're just going to print more euros. They're going to print more Aussie dollars. They're going to print more US dollars. They're just going to print more and just print. And it's going to cause inflation, and you're going to be prepared. So thanks for watching. Shave your knuckles for justice. Follow the money. Connect the dots. That's where you get the truth. That's what Max and Stacy are doing in the financial world, because they came out of that world. That's why you come watch this show. That's why you want to be informed and not listen to CNN go, the stock market's doing great. 900,000 jobs were added. Okay. Because when the ruling class bottoms out the economy, they'll get taken care of. And they won't care if you're living on the street. They won't care if you're in a food line. They won't care. They won't care if you got to foreclose on your home. They won't care. They don't care. So protect yourself. Whatever you got to do. Get knowledgeable. Knowledge is the first form of protection. Don't just be at the mercy. I wasn't knowledgeable enough 10 years ago. I wasn't as knowledgeable. It's my own. Some of that was my fault. They're evil. And I trusted, Obama, I voted for him. He'll regulate this. Bush was the bad guy. That's what I thought. Obama's stimulus will be better than Bush's. Nope. AOC's not going to save you. Bernie's not going to save you. Ro Khanna's not going to save you. The Squad's not going to save you. Tulsi Gabbard's not going to save you. None of these people are going to save you. Tulsi's not even in office anymore, so it doesn't matter. Nobody. The Progressive Caucus isn't going to save you. They're not going to save you. Are you a red state voter? Lindsey Graham's not going to save you. Mitch McConnell's not going to save. They don't give a shit. They're already taken care of. They work for the kleptocrats. They work for the ruling class. All the people making 7- and 8-figure incomes at CNN and Fox News and MSNBC and Fox Business and CNBC and Bloomberg TV, they're millionaires who are paid by billionaires to tell you everything's going to be fine, knowing full well you're going to get screwed over. The average American is going to get crushed. And Bitcoin is the first thing in the history of the human race that average people can buy in. It's not some corrupt stock tip. So when it goes to 250,000 and you bought it 60,000, you're going to make money. You're going to make money. So I don't want any of you to go through what I went through. I don't want you to lose your homes. I don't want you to go through that. Bankruptcy, foreclosure, it breaks up marriages. It causes suicides. It causes people to drink. It's awful. It's awful. And the kleptocrats do not give a shit. So get knowledgeable, protect yourself. And if you can, buy a little Bitcoin. Shave your knuckles for justice. Boom. Boom. Yeah, they're injecting a lot of money in there that just goes to pay off the oligarchs. All right. I just invested in like $700 in LaMelo Ball rookie card. Should probably get me some Bitcoin. Yeah. Bitcoin and stock markets can go up together. Sure. But even look, when the markets all crashed last year, when the shutdown happened, Bitcoin went down to $3,800. And look where we are a year later. Bitcoin is at $59,000 or whatever it's trading at today, $59,000. Is the stock market doing that? Make your own decisions, get your own knowledge. But if you're going to quote stuff that like the capitalist mainstream media says, good luck. Good luck. I'm just giving you information to help you out. I don't need you to agree with me. I don't need you to buy anything. Go for it. Go put it in a regular bank. Let me know how that shakes out. Bitcoin is the biggest bubble of all. Nope. You don't know much about it then. You don't know much about it. All these hedge funds are putting all this money into it. Boom. Yeah. Boo. People who like, yeah. And if you got stocks and they're doing well, great. I'm just telling you, pull out profits. Even if you got a bunch of crypto, pull out some profits. The altcoins are going to probably make a big push this summer and into the fall. And it's going to happen. Yeah, Bitcoin is decentralized. That's the key. It's decentralized. It's not on a server. Because even as Max Kaiser pointed out in his interview with me, some of these altcoins, now he's a Bitcoin maximalist who's like, all altcoins are shit. I don't know that I agree with that. But his point is this. These altcoins, you don't know, even if they're blockchain, but they're being hosted on Amazon servers, they can get pulled. You can just call Amazon, go shut it down. The owners who've made these altcoins, you don't know what they're doing. You don't know where all those coins are at. Bitcoin is on the blockchain. It lives on the internet. It is decentralized. Everybody can see where it's at. And everyone said it's a Ponzi scheme. Everyone said it was a bubble. And now all these institutions are putting billions of dollars into it. So, yeah, Bitcoin is backed by computational power and by electricity as opposed to fiat currencies, which are backed by nada. Are most hedge funds investing in Bitcoin right now? It's a great question. And when you watch shows like Crypto Casey and Altcoin Daily, they're constantly telling you about this hedge fund's in, this big bank is in, so there's a lot of hedge funds, and now retirement funds are starting to get in. Goldman Sachs is talking about it. Morgan Stanley are starting to have Bitcoin because they're average investors are just like, hey, how come my money market or my 401k, do we have any Bitcoin in there? I want to put 5 to 10% of that in Bitcoin. And that's what everyone's wanting. So that just means more institutional money is coming in. So like Stacy said on the show last week, thinking, I missed the boat on Bitcoin. Oh, I should have bought in when it was 10 grand or 15 grand or whatever. I missed the boat. She's like, that's poor people thinking, with her words. She goes, the hedge funds and the rich people are like, oh, now it's a legitimate asset. Now that it's over 50 grand consistently, it's a legitimate asset. So please discuss Bitcoin with Mark Blythe. That would be an awesome interview. I don't know who Mark is, but I'd love to know. Can big players collude and manipulate the market? Yes, that could happen. Look, these people like Elon Musk or whatever, that these Bitcoin whales, they absolutely could. They absolutely could do that. But not nearly as corrupt as the stock market. Anyone can collude and do that. You know, let's say I was a Bitcoin. Let's say I own 50,000 Bitcoins and I had a buddy who owned 50,000 Bitcoins because we got in early. We got in when Bitcoin was a nickel or whatever. We could manipulate the market a little bit. Absolutely. But every time there's been a dip this past year, people bought the dip and it came back up. Every time. So does the single greatest stored asset that anyone's ever seen. So they could. But when Tesla is accepting Bitcoin, now you can buy a Tesla with Bitcoin. PayPal is accepting Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, and Litecoin. Visa is starting to accept it. That's when everyone's going to be using it and the value of it's going to go up. So. Mark Blythe is a Scotty lefty economist. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'll look into it. Bitcoin can't be a Ponzi scheme because it's all a public ledger. There is no central figurehead. Nobody knows who created it. Yeah, that's the thing people need to understand. There's nobody behind closed doors manipulating the price. Now, two whales, two big owners or this hedge fund and that hedge fund could get together to buy and sell it to try to move the price up and down. Absolutely. But to really scam it, to do what they tried to do, to do how hedge funds have shorted stocks and all that stuff, they can't do it. It's not, the government can't come in and seize it because it's on a public ledger. They can't shut it down. They can't outlaw, they could outlaw it, but good luck, because if you have a cold wallet and I got a cold wallet, we can buy and sell and no one knows. The government doesn't know. If you keep your Bitcoin on an exchange, they can track it, but that's why governments are like realizing, oh, we need to get involved in this. That's why it's so revolutionary. That's why many people theorize Bitcoin was created by someone or some people within the NSA, because it was like a cryptographer came up with this. So, a Ponzi scheme is when you have to sell your assets to be fungible. Cryptos can be spent as is. Yeah. Bitcoin is still gaining without physical exertion. Same as slave owner or a capitalist. You cannot square that circle. It still ends with haves and have-nots. No, incorrect. Anyone can go buy Bitcoin today, right now. Anyone can buy it. Anyone can go buy Bitcoin. If they got a little bit of money, they can buy Bitcoin. You can buy $10 worth of Bitcoin right now. That's the lowest amount anyone can buy. You can buy $10 worth of Bitcoin. So that's not a circle that you got. That's not a square you need to circle. Like, that's, anyone can buy it. That's why I say, like, just a little bit of money, buy $50 worth, but buy $100 worth. Like, anyone can buy it. And and it'll go up in value and it'll be worth more money. Not everyone can go out and buy diamonds. Not everyone can go out and buy gold, and gold needs to be mined, and there's slave labor to make it. There's not slave labor creating Bitcoin. It's digitally mined. So there's no labor. There's not like people like working in a computer warehouse, mining it, getting paid $1 a day to mine thousands of dollars in Bitcoin, like what happens in a diamond mine. Diamond mines are slave labor, and they're mainly in Africa and Russia, diamond mines. It's not like, oh, Nike, is paying people $1 a day to make their shoes and then selling their shoes for $150. that's exploitation. No one's getting exploited with Bitcoin. Nobody is. Who's getting exploited? There's haves and have-nots if people decide I don't want to buy any. But if everybody buys some, the price goes up even more, and then everybody benefits. There'll be have-nots on people who are like, it sounds like a bunch of hooey to me. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. Okay. But there's no exploitation of labor. Everyone is exploited by Bitcoin. Yeah, see, that's another thing that's been debunked. Max Kaiser even debunked. They're actually doing more stuff to mine Bitcoin sustainably. More and more people are coming up with that. It's a fair criticism to say, but it's using a lot of energy and it's all, but a lot of the Bitcoin miners are going, like China put a bunch of solar panels on their Bitcoin mines. So green energy solves that problem immediately. So this notion that everybody is suffering from Bitcoin is just not accurate. And the central banks are threatened by Bitcoin, so the central banks are going to put out disinformation about it. So if I buy $1,000 in Bitcoin, then what? Well, hold on to it. Just hold on to it and let the price go up. Again, go to the bitcoin.com playlist. Okay? Bitcoin.com has a Bitcoin 101 playlist. I think there's 7 videos. They're somewhere all in the neighborhood they're all under 4 minutes. They're very simple and straightforward to understand. Watch those. If you're just like, Graham, I don't know what you're talking about. I barely get this. No worries. We all were that way. Just start educating yourselves. You guys came to this show because you wanted to educate yourself, right? You watch Jimmy or me or whomever, Lee Camp, Abby Martin. You watch folks like us because you know you're being lied to. Well, one of the ways you're also being lied to is that the Federal Reserve is great and, get a credit card. There's some Capital One ad right after they tell you the stock market's doing great, the economy's fine. And then Capital One, get a credit card, go into debt, buy a bunch of bullshit, have a shitty job, don't pay attention. So educate. You're coming here to get truth, right? I'm not going to bullshit you. You might not agree with me. I might even get something wrong. I'm not always right, but I'm not lying to you. I'm not spewing bullshit because someone's paying me to talk about this, but not talk about that. So I believe everything I'm telling you. And if I get it wrong, I'll say, shit, I was wrong about that. So get more knowledgeable, do your own research, start watching, people who've just found me. I was the first alt media show they found, and then they started watching, or they found Jimmy Dore. And then from Jimmy, they found me and they learned about Glenn Greenwald and got into this whole ecosystem. So start doing that with Bitcoin. There's a lot of very knowledgeable financial people who have studied this, worked in the financial field, who are like, man, this is a revolution. Interviews with Raoul Paul, former CEO of Goldman Sachs, Michael Saylor, who runs MicroStrategies. They bought over 91,000 Bitcoins. They own full, and that's the major portfolio for their investors. Yeah. So that's where I would start. How can Bitcoin be the best crypto when the first new technology is never usually the best version? It's not a technology. It is a digital currency that is decentralized. It's revolutionary. Good question, though. My pleasure, Charlie. I hope that helps. Well, what Sweet Lou's talking about is socialism. We need more socialism rather than capitalism, and that has very little to do with Bitcoin. We can have socialism and people still own Bitcoin. We can stop spending all this money on war and get people off the street, and you can have Bitcoin. We can have worker-owned cooperatives, and you can have Bitcoin. We can have free college tuition and Medicare for all, and you can have Bitcoin. So you're relating Bitcoin to a capitalist system and saying it's a part of that capitalist system when in fact it is not. It's just a monetary system that is decentralized, and it can function within a capitalist society, a socialist society, a democratic socialist society, a collapsing kleptocratic evil empire like America run by oligarchs. It's not part of that system. You're equating it to part of that system when it is not. The complaints you have are valid, but that's capitalism. And again, the person that or persons that created Bitcoin were deliberately trying to undermine this horrible, corrupt, global central banking capitalist system that creates wealth inequities that are egregious. Decentralized, so I can employ people in other countries? It's yes. I can pay somebody in another country, and I don't have to go through the banks. I can pay them in Bitcoin. They have a Bitcoin wallet. I have a Bitcoin wallet. I can pay them, and it's done. Nobody, and there's 2.5 billion people that are unbanked throughout the world. But they have a smartphone, but they don't have access to banking. And now with the smartphone, they have access to Bitcoin. It's pulling people out of poverty. You got to learn more about it. If you just hear a couple things or two and then say, it's just another capitalist scam, you don't know enough about it. Just learn more about it. Get more knowledgeable about it. Blockchain is the new technology, and we could use it for so many things, banking to medical records to voting. It's permanent public record that cannot be erased or edited because everyone has a copy. Yep. That means that you can pay people in other countries without using the bank with Bitcoin. Yep, that's absolutely correct. Yes, I do think everyone being vaccinated will help with the new COVID variants. Slow down, Elwood. One really small change over decades is how we roll. Yes, that's absolutely correct. Incremental centrism will save everybody. Incremental centrism for all. Matt S. Boom, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Good segment, dude, and good conversation. Thanks, Matt. I love these conversations. It's great. And I love people debating it. It's really good to see. But I'm like, the more knowledgeable I'm getting about Bitcoin, the more when I hear certain arguments, I go, oh, they just haven't learned enough about it yet. Not you're wrong, I'm right, but just you haven't gotten as much information because these are questions I would ask when I didn't know enough about it. And I'm no expert, but I'm getting more knowledgeable about it every day. I watch at least one crypto video a day, at least one, even just a little 10-minute just to get more knowledge about what's going on about it every day. It's like when people say, well, how are we going to pay for Medicare for all? How are we going to pay for it? And I used to say stuff like that when I really didn't understand. I wasn't paying enough attention to how the American empire really worked. Matt Matt S. Boom. Good advice on working and moving abroad. I may switch to freelance as a digital nomad. May work well for me. I know. Look, I know people that do it. I don't know. Maybe I'm kind of doing it. So it's great. I know people that do it. If you watch my buddy Mike Siegel has this podcast called the Travel Tales Podcast. He talks to these travel bloggers and writers and digital nomads. I mean, there's cities like Bogota, Colombia that are great for digital nomads. And they do stuff like they have the fastest, and like internet in America sucks. There's cities that have like Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, just have amazing high-speed internet. The cost of living is low. They'll give you a digital nomad visa and you can really live, do your research, because maybe they don't have as much infrastructure, in the countries where the cost of living is usually a lot lower, they might not have as much like infrastructure and stuff like that. And you got to be, but again, getting back to the crypto conversation, Matt, if you want to live abroad, crypto is the way to go. Now you're not transferring money through the Swift bank, like try moving, like Ron and I, when we did our tour in Australia, they paid us in Aussie dollars and we had to wait for like the Aussie dollar was really low against the US dollar. So like it wasn't as valuable to us taking the money back to pay our bills in America. And I was like, oh man, it was this whole thing. And like declaring it and fees and converting it was like, oh, I'm telling you, if that ever happens again, I'm going to ask these clubs, do you pay in Bitcoin? If they don't, that's fine. But I will take the Aussie dollar cash and I will find somewhere in Australia that can convert that Aussie cash to Bitcoin. And I'll just boom, buy Bitcoin with it and then put it on my Bitcoin wallet and I'm done. And that'll be that. I'll pay a little fee to convert it at whatever this, but there's now like ATMs that are starting. I'm sure they have them in Australia. I'm sure they are. They're just popping up all over the place. Bitcoin ATMs, whatever. I saw one in a Safeway. Like there's a realtor in Los Angeles that a friend of mine knows who is buying and selling houses with Bitcoin. And this realtor is part of a like Bitcoin realtors association or alliance or something like that. So all these realtors are starting to get together. So if you want to live abroad, crypto is another great way to live abroad, man. Doc Terminus, ba-boom, Doc. Thank you for supporting us at rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Mark Blythe has been on Jimmy. He is like a Dylan Radigan of economics, makes it fun to learn stuff. I can find one of the better speeches if it'd help. Yeah, actually what helps is just connect both of us on Twitter and be like, hey, Mark, you should be on Graham's show. And then we can, follow each other and then direct message and set it up. That always works the best. That's the best way to do it. Thanks, man. Mira Maxwell, what's up, Mira? You're making Gotham great again. Look into the collapse of Greensill Capital recently. It's been very quiet, like a train wreck on mute. See? Another hedge fund is collapsing. And this is why I'm talking about it. You bring up a great point, Mira, because it was just on CNN as this little blurb. CNN Digital. Oh, this hedge fund's lost some money. But I really look, because I'm not watching the CNN. I watch the corporate media to see what bullshit they're spewing. But then when I see like Max talk about it, but the corporate media isn't, I go, why? Because they're paid to push the lie of the oligarchs that, hey, the ruling class, everything's great. Economy's coming. I saw this thing and 900 new jobs were added. And okay. But they're not talking about these collapses. They're not talking about these bubbles. They're not talking about another hedge fund is collapsing. They're going to stay quiet about it because they're going to be paid like, don't cause panic, because they didn't hold the banks accountable 10 years ago. They weren't doing real journalism, the journalism that Glenn Greenwald does, the journalism that Glenn Greenwald was talking about on Jimmy Dore's show today, that this doesn't happen anymore. After the financial crisis of 2008, if there was real journalists at these outlets, they would be screaming, demanding them. They would have been screaming it. The American people have been like, We want sweeping banking regulation. We want these CEOs put in federal prison like they did in Iceland. But they're paid not to, because Morgan Stanley buys ad time, and Charles Schwab buys ad time, and Citibank buys ad time, and Capital One buys ad time. And then they bring on their financial experts who are all paid lobbyists for these big companies. And gee, Goldman Sachs has been in every presidential cabinet since Reagan, including Joe Biden, including Donald Trump, including Biden, Obama, Clinton, Bush, the other Bush, all of them. So they're not going to, the fact, this is the first I'm hearing about this one, Mira. You had to tell us in the chat for us to learn about it, right? Because CNBC is not going to be talking about it. They're going to bury these stories and start paying attention, because more of these hedge funds are going to collapse, and they're going to be quiet about it. They're going to be really quiet about it until the stock market just nosedives, which they keep propping up with this printed fiat money. The corporate media is the propaganda arm of the ruling class, including the financial sector. Hollywood is the entertainment propaganda arm of the ruling class. So, yeah, they're not going to tell us about it. So thank you, Mira, for letting us know. Got to come here. That's why I love doing this. You all are so informed. It's really great, because then I learn from you. And then you help teach everybody else in the chat. Justin Eric, shave your knuckles for Justin. Shave your knuckles for Justin or Justice. Thank you for supporting us at Rockfin. What are your thoughts on J6? Seems obvious to me that it was planned, or January 6th, and allowed to happen via negligence, and how MAGA knuckleheads were infiltrated by feds who want justification for Patriot Act 2.0 to censor the internet, silence online political dissent, and label protesters as domestic terrorists. I totally agree with that. Yeah, it really, especially now that we found out that the head of the Oath Keepers and the head of the Proud Boys were FBI informants. It seemed very much like orchestrated. They knew, look, we put some feds inside these groups. We can get the militias and the far right and the neo-Nazis. We can get them wound up pretty easily, and then let's do it. It's absolutely correct, because they just let them into the Capitol and are using it for Patriot Act 2.0. Yeah, I mean, look. After January 6th, they demonetized, deplatformed all these right-wing shows. And then come February, they went after mine and a bunch of other lefty shows. So, yeah, I think it very much was like, if it wasn't completely orchestrated, it was very much like, put a couple people in there and just start kind of like getting that group and getting people fired. We got to do something. And yeah. It's just there's too many weird. Why weren't the cops called? Why weren't the National Guard there? Why wasn't any of these things happening? And then after January 6th, now we're going to surround the Capitol building with fences, even though there was all this reasonable and credible intelligence to say that this was going to happen on January 6th, and they let it happen. Yeah, I agree with you for sure on that. Faux shizzle. All right, I'm going to do one more segment. Then we're going to roll on out of here. There was a huge rally. Trump said march to the Capitol. Our Sprinter group were already there. A few had real plans for a coup, and those were feds. Yeah, I know. Yep. Good point. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. Hit the like button. We have 316 people watching, 218 likes. Hit the like button. I know it's getting late. on the East Coast. Capitalism is the root cause of much evil. I would say most of it. Leave AOC alone. Aha, that's funny. Well, you're not going to like this segment. Okay. Yeah. Here we go. Hello, everybody. My name is Graham Elwood, and you are watching the Political Vigilante. You're coming here for the truth. I must be telling some kind of truth. That's why YouTube demonetized me. It's kind of like a badge of honor now. If I was just pushing neoliberal nonsense, I wouldn't get demonetized. Only watch shows that have been demonetized. Oh, man. So support what we do at patreon.com/Graham Elwood. Rockfin.com/Graham Elwood, which is blockchain cryptocurrency platform. It's $10 a month for the premium. You get all this cool premium content, and then you get to support all these other content creators. They don't censor us over there. And then go to GrahamElwood.com and get a mug. Look at that. Tastes like truth. Oh, AOC. We all had such hope, right? I was so excited when she came on the scene. And when she won, I was like, oh my God, this is big. Now there's hope. Here we go. Get the squad in there. Oh, here we go now. Some real change. We can really get some progressive platforms in there. I saw her speak at some Bernie Sanders rallies in 2019 and 2020. And now... and people are like, go easy on her. Go easy on her. No, she said she was going to do all these things. That's worse to me than telling me like the Republicans, they're not going to help me. They don't care about me at all. They've made that very clear. They don't care about me. They don't care about making my life better. They don't care about giving me Medicare for all. They don't want student debt forgiveness. They don't want $15 now. They don't want any of those things. But AOC says she's going to do it, and then she doesn't. Graham, that's not fair. Really? I didn't do this study. This isn't my study. Study declares AOC one of the least effective members of Congress. And the study was done by like University of Virginia. It wasn't done like by, Sean Hannity's gun club or whatever. It was done by like some universities. They just did it. They just did studies. Because I'm like, what law? I keep at when everyone's like, go easy on her. I go, what laws has she passed? What has she done? How has she made our lives better? All she does is tweet. She wouldn't even do force the vote. She won't. Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez was among the least effective members of the last Congress, according to a new survey for Nonpartisan Center for Effective Lawmaking. Graham, you're being too mean. I didn't do this study. I'm just telling you about this study. Why don't you go harder on the Republicans? Because I already know they're evil. I already know they're awful. AOC said she was going to fight for us. They could have done force the vote. We could all be having Medicare for all right now. She could be screaming, demanding it. Joe Biden could give us Medicare for all on executive action. He could have done it January 20th, the day he was sworn in. Student debt forgiveness, Joe Biden could do. Oh, how do you know that? 85% of all student loans are they're federal loans, so he could just forgive them. You don't have to pay them back. You don't even need Congress for that. He could give us Medicare for all because COVID is a national emergency. We are been in a state of national emergency for a year. The president is given wide range of powers during an emergency declaration and could say he won't. AOC introduced a total of 21 bills, which the Senate defined as substantive, but that is where the story ends. Her legislation received no action in committee, no floor votes, and none ever became law, according to the center, which takes its data from congress.gov. So when you introduce a law, it's a matter of public record. So if liberals are going to get mad at me, oh, Graham, what are you, a Trumper? No, I'm an anti-war, pro-labor socialist. She used to call herself a democratic socialist, and now she doesn't anymore. We've seen that interview on World Socialist website. blames everything on the Republicans. You have a democratically controlled Congress. You're the most popular congressperson ever. You have 12 million Twitter followers. If AOC got behind Force the Vote, it would have happened. She could send one tweet and just she could have gotten 100,000 people outside of the Capitol, not wearing Nazi paraphernalia and AR-15s, but saying, we're not leaving till we force the vote. I'm forcing the vote on Medicare for all. I'm demanding that. She won't do it. And this organization has proven that she's done nothing. She introduced a lot of bills, but she was not successful at having them receive any sort of action in committee or beyond committee. And if they can't get through committee, they cannot pass the House. Alan Weissman, a Vanderbilt political scientist and co-director of the center. When looking at the legislative effectiveness of all congressional Democrats, AOC was ranked 230 out of 240 Democrats. Among the 19 Dem lawmakers from New York State, she ranked dead last. She's our ally in the Congress. How? What has she done? When somebody says, well, she's really fighting for us, show them this. She's done nothing. This is not my study. I was a huge fan of hers. You can go back in my back catalog and watch all of my videos of me talking about she's great, she's awesome, she's the future, all this hope. We want to believe, right? We want to believe. We're all paying so much attention to politics. We want to believe, man. I saw Glenn Greenwald talking on the Jimmy Dore show about this. He fell for it. Jimmy fell for it. We all were like, oh, she's the future. She's young. She's smart. She was a bartender. It's all concocted, man. Or maybe that was real and she got in the power, and power. People always acquiesce. Glenn Greenwald talks about it. They get to power. They get their job at MSNBC, or they get to Congress or whatever. And then there's real money. They got a nice house. They don't want to give that up. And they'll play ball, and then you play ball and you pass nothing. She's dead last. How do you have 12 million Twitter followers? You're the most recognizable congressperson in America today, without a doubt. She is the most popular politician in America right now, without a doubt. And you can't get anything done? Oh, but Graham, she can't. So these are going to be used. Well, she couldn't get into committee. She could go tweet and say, this is my bill. Everybody call their Congress people. Make this pass. Demand it, demand it, demand it. We're going to force the vote. She could use her power of 12 million Twitter followers and really affect some real change, but she won't. That's why she's dead last in New York. 230th out of 240. Wow. Do you get a plaque for that? Or is this video an act of violence? You know what's an act of violence? 60,000 people dying every year because they don't have health care. That's an act of violence. Tweeting is easy. Governing is hard. You need to have friends. You need to understand the committee process. You need to be willing to make sacrifices, said one person. That's an interview with like an anonymous person within the Democratic Party. So this quote tells you why she's acquiesced, because she could have fought them outside of it, using her Twitter, using the power of the American people and all these people that are behind her to get real change made, but she didn't. She tried to reform from within, and from within they said, you better play ball. And now Nancy Pelosi is Mama Bear. You cannot reform the Democratic Party from within. It is impossible. You can't reform the Republican Party from within because they've become a neo-fascist organization. You can't do it. $230 out of 240 Democratic Congresspeople. That's where she ranks. Dead last in New York, 230th in America. That's the tweet squad. That's the head of the tweet squad for you. Go to this center, go to this place for the study and see where Ro Khanna is, see where Omar, see where Presley, see where they're all at. I know where they're not. They're not doing interviews on this show. Right? 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 It hurts more when someone you thought was going to fight for you is the worst. It hurts more. Like I'm not disappointed or feel betrayed by Ted Cruz. He's always been a weasel. When he went to the, Barbados or the Caribbean or wherever he went, Cancun or whatever, when Texas was freezing and people were starving and dying because they didn't have electricity, and he took his family to, I wasn't like shocked. I was like, yeah, that's Ted Cruz. He's a filthy sellout. But when I see AOC not forced to vote, and then, Jimmy Dore was mean to me, she could have saved people's lives, and she chose not to because she didn't want to give up her power. And she's naive or a sucker or a plant. I don't know what. She doesn't realize how much power she has. She could dictate. She could change the Democratic Party. She could go, no, we're doing it this way. I have 12 million Twitter followers. I have the will of the people behind me. Bye-bye Pelosi. Bye-bye Chuck Schumer. Step aside. This is how we're doing it. And we would love her. And she would get even a bigger following. But she's not doing that, because she wants to be included. She wants the cool kids to invite her to the party at the corporate Democratic table. And when Jimmy Dore had her on her show and helped her get elected, she was like, yeah, upstart. She doesn't want to be on Jimmy's show. She doesn't want to be on this show. She wants to be on MSNBC. She wants to do Vanity Fair covers with Nancy Pelosi wearing $2,000 pantsuits or whatever. That's what she wants to wear. Follow the money, connect the dots, get the truth. There it is, kids. Shave your knuckles for justice. Ba-boom. Don't be mean to AOZ. Don't be mean to AOZ. Don't be mean. She's our friend. Don't be mean. Great. Now I got to go read Dante and Virgil. Oh. AOC gave corrupt politicians $5,000 donations. She is one of them. Yep. Lucky Burrito Art and Music. Boo, boo. What's up? AOC applied for the job. She got the job and is failing at it. What other job can you get paid to virtue signal and tweet while also getting health care and great salary? F her and the excuses. Oh, and Neville the Devil heard your voice and came out to hang. 100% serious. Thanks for all you do. Neville the Devil, this is the #1 show watched by ferrets and hats and cats and hats in Iowa. #1. #1 show watched by ferrets and hats. Right here. I have the bet. I'm crushing that demographic. Crushing it. All these other YouTube shows, they don't have any ferrets and hats watching them. I'm the best. Around, nothing's ever gonna bring you down. Justin Eric, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice. Can you talk about CAA? Roughly 70% of famous people are represented by this one agency, from sports and music to news and politicians. It's effing insane, the influence they wield. Courtney Love says she was blacklisted by CAA for attempting to expose Epstein. Ooh. Yes. Not tonight, but I'll do research on it. I will absolutely do that. Thank you for bringing that up. I really appreciate that, Justin. Christine Solomon, boom. You rock. Plus, I just saw that you're also a Leo. Awesomeness. Yeah, baby. Leo. All day, all night. Leo with a Taurus rising. Which means I like pussy and bullshit. Whoa, out of line, Graham. We don't make those jokes. I used to think it was just a little corrupt. Then I realized the corruption is hidden because it's legal. Yeah. AOC and the squad could have been heroes during this, but they decided that we're not worth it. I know. Yeah. AOC will take grassroots donor money and launder it to Connor Lamb. She's a total puke. Yep. I know. It's heartbreaking. It's heartbreaking. There are 311 watchers. 311. I know those guys did their cruise. They're awesome dudes. I love 311. I miss doing that. I would expect that sort of stuff out of Saki. Of course it's personal. People are suffering. She was there to fight for us and then acquiesces to committee seats. Yep. Yeah, Justice Democrats. Oh, God. When I first heard about Justice Democrats, I was like, why not start a third party? Like, all right, reform from within. I was like, all right, I hope you're right. No, it's impossible. Anybody tells me reform from within, nope. I'm never giving another dollar to the Democratic Party. I'm never giving $1 to the Democratic Party. And I think if you do, you're a sucker. You're wasting your money. If there isn't enough evidence for you, I don't know what to tell you. The Democratic Party, I'm not voting for it. Maybe if there was if I lived in Nina Turner's district, maybe I would vote for somebody like that. Maybe, but I wouldn't donate to her campaign. I'm just not. I'm not, because the Democratic Party will take some of that money. It's just useless, man. That party's useless. There's nothing redeemable. There's nothing you can do. There's no change from within happening. It's never happening. They will take your money and give it to awful people. They will get into power and then do it and become AOC. Like, she is the greatest disappointment. If you need more evidence of the corruption of that party, I don't know what to tell you. That's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. Like, you're a sucker then. We all got fooled the first time. We all got fooled. We all got fooled by Bernie. We all got fooled by Bernie a couple of times. It's like the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over, expecting different results. There's an expression, don't go to the hardware store for milk. And once you realize something is corrupt, awful, if you keep going back, you're the sucker. You're the chump, right? You're in a relationship with somebody that's shitty to you and keeps cheating on you. Once they did it the first time, that was them. That was awful. They did that. But once you realize that's what they do and you know they're lying to you and you keep dating them, it's on you. I'm not excusing their shitty behavior, but you keep going back for more. So the lesser of two evils is like, oh, this time it'll be different. It's like that song, I'm just a sucker with no self-esteem. I know I should say no, but it's kind of hard when she's ready to go. That's what this reminds me of. All right, folks. I am losing my voice. This song is dedicated to AOC.
Customize and
And I'm going to sing it
Mutual.
as Eddie Vedder.
Thank you.
Oh, this game rules.
Much for supporting everything that we do, and thank you to everybody over make it stop. Billy Quan, Shave Your Knuckles for Justice, thank you for supporting us at rockfin.com. Graham, the vaccine passports are an inroad to full-on fascism. Are you concerned about the way such a thing could affect our freedom? Well, they already have passports. They can already tell you where you can and cannot go. They've already had passports, vaccination passports for years. I had one when I went to third world countries with the yellow fever. You couldn't get in there or come back to America unless you showed you had a yellow fever vaccine or took malaria pills because they didn't want you to bring it back here. So all that stuff's already been in place. They're already killing us with fascism all over the place. The vaccine passport is not the thing you should be worried about. You should be worried about martial law and tanks in the streets. Chip Walker, Graham, thank you for all you do. You are amazing. Thank you, Chip. You are amazing too. Thanks, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you for following the show. Like, share, subscribe. Support us at patreon.com/Graham Elwood, rockfin.com, and grahamelwood.com. Everybody, share your knuckles for justice. Why are you making Gotham great again?